G'day everyone, and welcome back to the NGMI podcast. Today I'm speaking with Chase Barker. He's the head of developer growth at Solana Mobile and a notorious shitposter on Twitter. Dude, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I know you've been in my DMs for a while now. I finally get my head out of the sand after we've been doing the Solana Mobile Hackathon for we've been judging it for the last month. I'll never do that again. It's basically taking an entire month to review after despamming 290 projects. So anyways, with that, thanks for having me. Sorry it took so long to get on here.
Dude, no stress at all. Talk to me about the Solana hackathon. What's the stuff that you can share out of that? Is there anything interesting coming up out of the quote unquote trenches at all? What do we got?
So I don't want to get into too many specifics, but basically, whenever I joined, Coliseum's hackathon was going on. Everybody knows they're the biggest in Web3, quite possibly the biggest in any industry in the world, startup competition. So instead of just running, a lot of people run these sort of rinky-dink hackathons where people just come for a prize, they win, they leave. So the idea here was to fast follow Coliseum and target a lot of these guys that already had built businesses and then challenge them to convert that to mobile and launch on Seeker. The timing of Seeker launch sort of coincided roughly with the end of the hackathon, and then now we're in the final stretch of the reviews. So hopefully in the next week or two we'll have the winners out there, and I would just say I was happy with the quality of projects. There's lots of AI stuff. There's lots of prediction markets, meme stuff.
Yeah.
Anytime something hot is hot, that's what you're going to have in a hackathon. And again, it was memes, prediction markets, lots of AI analytical tools and things like that. All very cool stuff. Some of them were great, way too early to actually be an official winner, but at the end of the day, we're finally just making a big push for developers on Solana Mobile. So this was just sort of like the entry starting point to be let's see how many people we can get building, and then we'll just go from there.
And that is the thing of how long it takes for actual dev ideas to translate into the actual meta. I remember Polymarket, even just on the VC side, they raised 50 mil or something in 2018, 2019, and I think everyone's kind of take on him, on the founder of Polymarket, was kind of oh, we'll just give this guy a chance. We'll see what happens. He seems like a good kid. And then now you're looking at a multi-billion-dollar global, the prediction market company.
Was that the original idea that they funded, the same exact thing?
I think it was something to do with prediction markets, but I think it was much more bare bones. It was much more basic. It wasn't based in oh, we're gonna have world politics. I think it leaned crypto originally. I'm kind of talking out my ass here, but yeah, it was a bare bones product that people were wow, sure, people might want to this shit. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes, and the fact that they brought that to market and it's actually successful now just shows you what it takes to become a founder in this space. I've worked with tons of developers in the early days of Solana that pivoted, the Tensor guys pivoted 2 or 3 times before they landed on their NFT marketplace. Obviously NFTs have slowed down, but they hit, they won that battle at the end of the fall. They took all the market share by the end of that, and they pivoted into memes as well. But the founder journey, man, you never know what's going to happen. So you could stick with one idea for 5 years, or you could stick with 5 ideas in 1 year. Who knows? It's just the nature of markets.
Dude, talk to me about Seeker 2. It's finally been released. Came out, August 4th?
Yeah.
Last month? Yeah, okay. Dude, run me through the product, and what's the pitch? I had it with me before. Oh, yeah. I'm a Saga boy. I got one. I'm not going to lie. I literally got it because it was the Bonk airdrop was on it, and Bonk had gone up.
You and most people, or at least
Yep.
a lot of people. I think it had 8,000 pre-orders, and then it sold an additional 12,000 once the whole Bonk situation went live. So Bonk in a way did save Solana Mobile at a critical time. So it was pretty nice to to see that the community rallies behind these sorts of things. But yeah, so what do you use it for? As a phone or a paperweight?
It's a mix of both at the moment. It's the kind of thing where I have it as my base Sol cold wallet. So I kind of like set it up as like the mobile cold wallet that I like store like dupe sol on and just have as like my
Yeah.
yield thing that I treat as more secure than all of my hot wallets. Um, and it's actually saved me because I funneled a shitload of money way too late along the risk curve back into the trenches, and I had like an agreement where I would put a certain amount of sol from wins onto the Saga, and then a certain amount of sol from wins into Infinex, which is like another self-custodial platform. And like this saved me from
Yeah.
deleting everything at
Yeah.
late stage trenching.
I think so before I answer your question, I think like that's interesting because there's a lot of like the phone is like it has a lot of US based people. Most of them are on iPhones. Most will never switch to their daily driver as an Android phone. Their whole lives are tied up in like Google Cloud and just all this sort of stuff. But there's still this world where you're just the way you're talking about this is this where it's like a secure device, and like if you want to do yield strategies or like do certain things where you like have a secure device plus you have native crypto apps that make it easier so you're not always on your computer. So there's a world, but at the end of the day I think seeker like Asia, South Asia, Latin America, these are the places that need these sorts of phones. And I think that we'll start to realize that pretty soon. There's Seeker 2, or well, Solana Mobile 2, aka Seeker, was basically like, hey, we heard your feedback. That phone, the specs were not that great. It was quite expensive. The battery life wasn't great. There was a lot of things that weren't great about that phone. So this was like, hey, we heard that. Like, let's try this again, but let's get the specs up. Let's make this a phone that people would actually consider using. And I think so far, I don't know if you call it surprisingly, but like pleasantly surprised that the reaction from the unboxings of these phones was actually super positive experience. Like I've seen people talk about using these phones like daily. They're really liking it. So it's good to hear that. And you're not like launching another phone with expectations high. And then people were like, no, this is still not a good phone, but it actually is a good phone. So that's nice. But the bet here was let's try it again. Let's have a heavier focus on getting strong. I think one of the things that lacked on that phone was like a critical mass of strong applications. It has the seed vault, what you're talking about, which is secure device. It has the DApp store. You're not charged the 30% like fees. You're not going to be worrying about getting banned from Apple or Google for developing a crypto app. So these are all things that are required in order to have like successful mobile device with crypto. Because at the end of the day, I believe, and outside of Solana Mobile or Seeker or whatever, is that we are not going to be just using crypto only on our computers forever. It makes no sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine in 5 years, if you want to go trade a meme coin, you got to go grab your computer, or you have to go into Phantom's sort of, or Soulflare's like in-app browser, which is like not a great experience either. They're just bad UX all over. It's not their fault. That's just what they had to do, and they did pretty well. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to pop open your phone, secure device, unlock it. You have a crypto native experience where you like pop it open. I want to swap. You do a slider, just like a little quick slide to the right, boom, I'm done. Versus all the clicks and stuff that takes place when you're on a computer. And obviously you can't, you're driving in an Uber, you can pop out your Starlink and your laptop and try to make a trade when you could actually just grab out your Android device and like do something quick with a native experience. So I think that's the bet. It's like, let's try to mature this product. Let's get better apps here. And Seeker season just started, which we can talk about later, but it's essentially just every week for the next, until the end of the year, at least, we're going to be highlighting new major app launches that are sort of launching on Seeker.
Yeah, man, that is the thing. Like at the moment, I'm a Phantom like user. That's the wallet that's captured me on Solana. I just never, they got to me before Solflare did, I think. I don't think I've ever actually installed Solflare as like its own wallet app. So it's just been a Phantom Maxi. I like the purple little ghost. I'm basically like patient zero for like non-technical user. I'm a very good bellwether for like, what's the normal person gonna do when they look at a store? I'm like, oh, nice app logo. Bink, that's my one.
I think in the early days when Phantom finally caught up, like started catching fire, like Soulflare was like the OG wallet. It was a web wallet, and I don't think they really got into the mobile game until a little bit later. I use both. I like that they both have their own things that I like, but neither of them can escape having to like to do the in-app like browser experience.
And
There's problems.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and that's clunky. Like if you go in Phantom and then you go in the browser, like the tabs take forever to load. It auto opens tabs and you end up with like 30 of them. And then you're like, why is my phone really slow? And then you're like, oh shit, I've got 30 fucking tabs open in Phantom just by accident. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like everybody like when I say this like the future is mobile. It's one day it's you most people are just like, yeah, you're right. I get it, I guess. But one day it's gonna click. Why Solana's always trying to take bets that nobody else is taking and push the boundaries. And if Seeker's one main thing that it achieves is pushing people towards developing mobile, then like that's what needs to be done. Because again, we everything we do in our lives is on our phones except crypto. We can use a wallet and we can use a centralized exchange, but that's mostly all we can do on our mobile phones in crypto. And it's it's not it won't be like that forever. And I don't think it'll be that way for much longer. Like I don't know, a couple of years before there's a bigger push. And Solana being in the lead of that is always something that Solana has pretty well known for always trying to push the boundaries, whether it's IBRL or internet capital markets or whatever it is, trying to stay in front of everybody when it comes to technology or narratives or whatever. And I think that's what we're good at. And I think the phone is probably going to be one of those. Maybe we were a little bit too early with the first one, but I don't think we're too early with it now.
Yeah, at least like early, but directionally correct is how I'd view it from like outsider perspective of like, yeah, getting them all of the moving pieces together, and it's kind of like building in prod as well. You're like, fuck it, well, here's a phone. Like, we'll see what happens. We'll get feedback. Let's go. But bigger picture, why did Solana? Why did you guys think like, fuck it, we're going to launch a phone? What's the reasoning behind that one?
Well, the blockchain network did not decide that because it's just that a network. But Anatoly decided that. His background in sort of wireless networks and systems at Qualcomm, he just has a passion for it. For basically taking this network that he helped design and get off the ground, and now it's capable to do all these things on a phone. So why would you not take that to the mainstream consumers? I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but you go to developing nations, people don't have computers, they have phones. Why would we not try to make their lives a little bit easier by banking them, allowing them to have these experiences and being able to use crypto the way that it's probably going to be used forever? So I mean, I consider Anatoly like a visionary. He was a visionary with an L1 that was with the capabilities it has now. So when he decided, whenever he decided he was going to do this, and then whenever I decided to come over, I was like, you know what? There's 150,000 pre-orders, and that's just the crypto native guys. Like, this is worth taking a shot and putting some of my energy behind it.
Yeah, was there 150,000 pre-orders? That's fucking huge numbers.
And that's just crypto. That's just crypto guys. But like the thing that I will talk about, and this is not talked about a ton yet, but it is public, is that there'll probably always be a flagship phone for the crypto guys, because like Toly will always probably want to create a phone, and he will want to like reach like take that to the next level as hardware gets cheaper and cheaper, etc. Like we're always talking about. But there's also another world where you're basically via OEM getting the seed vault and the DApp store software on other distributors' devices, distributors that already have licensing in certain countries. Because you think about this, there's major manufacturers and there's major distributors, but what people don't realize is there's also small and mid-level like distributors, somebody who might be in one country or like in Southeast Asia that sell 20 million phones per year through a variety of different sort of like outlets and countries. What if those phones came with Seed Vault and Seeker or the DApp store, and those people received an airdrop, all of a sudden they're aware of crypto now, and now they start getting introduced to the ecosystem. So that is really probably how this gains real momentum. The phone for itself, crypto natives, people love Solana. It's always going to make better and better phones, but there's another market out there. People who aren't aware of it that you can get in the hands of by simply the hardware is not necessary in order for like Solana Mobile to survive. It's only the software, the seed vault and the DApp store. And like that's probably something that we're going to see in the future.
I'm now like very across like seed vault and DApp store, but for listeners that are hearing about this for the first time, can you run me through seed vault and DApp store, like what they are, how they work, like why they are like differentiating products?
Yeah, I mean, like it's actually very simple. Like the analogy for seed vault is simply like having a ledger device on your phone, secured by the same style and top cryptography in the world. So this allows you to not like through daily use on a device. You still probably want to have hot wallets involved, but like this allows you to sort of natively secure larger amounts of assets on your device without the worry that somebody's hacks your like SIM card and gets they still could not break into your seed vault in that way. So this basically is just purely for cryptography and security of your digital assets. The DApp store itself is primary use case is that so you can actually create fully native crypto applications, and it's not some groundbreaking technology. It has tie-ins to cryptography and certain things that make it easy to build and deploy native applications. But the real thing is to avoid to get past the whole, if you build an app on Apple or Google, you might most likely, if you're not a wallet and you're not a centralized exchange, for whatever reason, those two gets a free pass. Some other apps make it through, but let's say you spend 6 months on a mobile roadmap, and then Apple or Google 6 months into that says, hey, we don't like your latest update. Also, we're going to ban you from the App Store. You've just burnt all of that money, all these things. So with Seeker, that's impossible. And they don't take the 30% cut that Apple and Google would take. They don't take it for like financial transactions, but if you're doing physical goods or you're doing some other digital asset type sales, they could be like, hey, you owe us 30%. So the two things are you are allowed to build crypto native dApps and you don't have to worry if you're going to get banned. And you also are not going to have to worry about, as a developer, paying those fees.
Yeah, it's a really good skirt around for just not dealing with potential walled garden issues of like,
Yeah.
Oh, actually, sorry, not a fan. And then you're like, cool, sorry, dev team and everyone, we're cooked.
And they'll basically be like, you don't even resubmit, you're banned, and don't try to submit under another name, we'll find you, sort of stuff. Like, it's just I'm hopeful, cautiously optimistic that in the future these guys are going to have to give some leeway and grace to this as stable coins and lots of other things like internet capital markets narratives take steam and the governments start to get more relaxed. They'll find a way to make money from it, but I think they will have to eventually loosen up the rules around this. But in the meantime, there's Solana Mobile.
True. You'd hope that the self-interest is transparent enough that they'd be like, well, there's money moving around here. Surely we want a piece of that. Why is it that you think, like, what's the reason that Apple and Google have been so just ready and willing to ban crypto products? Is it because of regulations around potential securities issues? Is that the main concern they have?
I think so. And I think for large corporations like Apple is that even though things have gotten a lot better, it's still a very gray area. And, this is just sort of pure speculation on my part, but they have a board. They have shareholders that they have to worry about, and imagine making the wrong decision and getting hit with some major issues, and then that impacts a lot of people, and the next thing you know, like you have some big problems on your hands. But I think as more clarity comes through, it gives more opportunity. I think that was the initial reason. Regulations, scared of crypto. We don't know what's happening. This is sketchy. It's like all this like illegal stuff, even though the majority of illegal stuff happens with fiat. So
with cash, yeah.
Yeah, with cash. But I think probably now, My guess would be they're thinking about it, but they're trying to figure out the best way to monetize it. That just thinking logically about how large corporations work. First, we're too scared. We don't want to get in trouble. Now, okay, it seems like it's okay, but how do we make money from this? Would probably be like the next thought process, I would say.
Step number two is like, oh, wait a second. Now that we're in the clear, these
Yeah,
guys are putting
exactly.
some serious volume across. Let's get some. Um,
Yeah.
do you ever see Solana Mobile competing with like industry incumbents, Apple, Google, and then on like the other side, like Android producers like Samsung and those kind of boys? What's the end goal of competition from your end?
I would say that for some like I don't the way that I would say it is like I don't think that's necessary for Solana Mobile to be successful. Like I said, if you go the OEM route and like let's say in 1 year you have 1 million users and then in 5 years you have 10 million users, that's substantial enough to like change like the paradigm around things. So I don't want to say that they wouldn't compete there, but I don't necessarily think the goal is disruption, I believe, and it's not necessarily like we're going to like take over Apple and Google. Yes, we want to break that duopoly. Yes, we want to like crack that open and be like, hey, there is a better way. Do I think they need to do I think they need to compete on like a one-to-one like level? Not really. Crypto has a very small percentage of users compared to the number of users of like Apple and Google phones. So if you just break in and get the get the devices and the experience to the people who are open to using them already, then like you've already done a really strong job there. And if it changes the paradigm of how all these other big guys think, that's also like a really impactful thing to do.
As I was saying before, Saga guy here. Um, if I'm looking to grab the Seeker, what are the main things that are new in Seeker, and like what's the feedback that you took from Saga, and what did you build into the Seeker side?
Everything has really just probably been like on the UX side of things. Like Seed Vault, I think there were some cryptography upgrades and some upgrades around the technology. The DApp store, it's actually the same DApp store that you have. That's the thing it's a piece of software. Like the dApps you have on your Saga are the same dApps that are on the Seeker. It's one piece of software. But it's mostly just been like UX improvements. Like if you've seen any of the videos, like the Saga or the Seeker onboarding experience is nice and clean, a little more clear than it was previously. So I think it's just again the changes have primarily been let's make a nicer device that's easier to use and more sort of like intuitive than the Saga originally was. But as you can expect, we've all, depends on how old you are, but if you remember the days of Nokia, we've come a long way in the last, from the, come a long way from the Nokia 3165 or whatever that phone was that would basically break your face open if you like threw it at somebody.
Yep. No, I think yeah, I was around for those ones. I think the first phone I ever had was some Samsung silver flip thing with a little antenna, like a little plastic nub antenna. It's like just indestructible. All I did on it was play Snake, and
I remember those days. I never had a BlackBerry, but like people keep joking and they want us to produce a BlackBerry version of Solana Mobile, which I doubt will happen. But like people seem to love those phones. I think they just like the physical clicking of like the buttons. That was like the main thing.
yeah, dude, I have no, and it's something that someone told me to go watch like the BlackBerry documentary thing on Netflix,
Oh, I saw it.
as
Yeah.
as to why like the form function of screens overtook keyboards. But now I think there's like a weird yearning for the physical, like, oh, I just want to press buttons again and not just be like,
I think we've come back through there with a lot of ways, like everything from photography coming back in style, like vinyl records are back in style. I think people like we've been so like entrenched in just digital everything that people sort of do long. It's at least to certain people who are nostalgic for it, like me. Like I got a set of my vinyls right here on the floor. I'm also
yep,
doing like I also do photography, and I've been like in the market for looking for an analog like camera as well. So I think people yearn for some of that physical stuff because we're just so tied into digital everything.
no, I really like the. I'm a annoying record maxi. Like you can't see it, but there's a whole bunch of records next to the Sony setup I've got there. And yeah, there's something to it. Physical product that isn't streaming, that isn't downloading. It's having the copy, being able to put it on. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, like Polaroid cameras are back in style, like all that sort of stuff. Like everybody loves just like something tangible that's not just on our computer screen.
You mentioned Seeker season before. I'm keen to hear more about what that is. You're saying it's a weekly drop. It's almost like Feature Fridays on like Minecraft, where they just drop a new thing each week on the Fridays. Might be a niche
Yeah,
reference, but yeah.
there was there was a lot of like early movers like at the beginning of like through the process of launching the phone that like had dedicated themselves to be like, hey, we want to build unique experiences for like Solana Mobile. So those guys were basically all signed up and basically given an opportunity to launch their app and get highlighted. You know, like if you just launch the phone and everything's there, you sort of miss out on the ability to start highlighting those guys who, they deterred or deferred from their own roadmaps and put in the effort to like launch on mobile when a lot of people wouldn't. And all those apps, I think this week Moonwalk Fitness just like had their official sort of like feature announcement. So that'll go on for the next week. This will just be recurring until the end of the year, maybe even beyond that, just to make sure all those guys that put in that effort sort of are like highlighted and everybody gets a chance to experience these guys' work and just sort of like an introduction to be like, here's Solana Mobile, here's what a native like crypto experience looks like on a mobile phone outside of like a wallet browser experience.
Just doing a little bit of thinking on your like background in crypto. I know that you got into Solana like early 2021. And then you
Before that,
before that? Okay. Yeah.
I joined then, but yes, but
Yeah. Okay. Were you Solana like since day one kind of thing, or?
so I worked for another project called the project. I joined like crypto in like 2019. Like I was an engineer for a decade, and then got really bored with that world, and I got involved in crypto in 2017. Come 2018 or 2019, found this project called Kin. There was a messenger app that predates Facebook Messenger and all those. It was called Kik, based in Canada. It was just this messenger app that got highly successful. And they launched a token. They built crypto into their phone. I won a hackathon, like, and I built this tip bot on Twitter called Kenny. And through that process, like around 2020, like they couldn't, like they were running their own blockchain. It was like a fork of Stellar, and they couldn't really scale it beyond, and there was like a lot of usage on it for different sort of like experiences in their product suite. And then they started talking about Solana, and I looked into it, and I was like, this sounds like Ethereum but faster. I watched all Anatoly's videos, and I was pretty much like red pilled myself just watching his videos, like March, April, May of 2020. And then sometime in the later of the year, I created this, because I still worked for Ken and I didn't want to like dox myself that I was obsessing over Solana. So I basically created this fictional character called Soulmane, which like was actually like pretty much the first like person on Twitter really even talking about Solana. It got pretty big. And then one day I doxed to Raj and I was like, hey, I see you have a DevRel role. I want to get hired. So he hired me, and I sort of phased out that character because number one, I was like getting a split personality, trying to be two people at once. And number two, the account was quite unhinged. Only a few people knew about it, but whenever I took a break in this past December, I sort of like came out and like just sort of blew everybody's mind and be like, yeah, I was Soulmane. And it was funny because I knew so many people through my actual work at Solana as that account prior to that. So whenever I said that publicly, it was like, yeah, let's close the loop. Let's just like say it out loud. And
just
now
let them know.
Just let them know. So yeah, I was there since 2020, and I joined in 2021 as the first DevRel and helped build out a team and all the education, and like hired Jacob Creech, and now he's running that team and they're crushing it. So, and I took a break in December, and then 3 months later I ran into the COO of Solana Mobile, and he's like, hey Chase, we're about to launch this phone. We might need some help. you want to join back up? And I was like, at first, it's like, you mother, sure, I'll do it. And I'm back.
Arm twisted. Yeah. Very difficult by the sounds of it. How was your period of semi-retirement? What did you get up to?
I mean, honestly, man, like it's weird for anybody ever considering taking long sabbaticals when your entire identity is tied to work for 20 years. There's a lot of stuff that goes through your mind. Like, have a plan if you ever decide to do that, because I just honestly lost my entire identity for a few months, and I should have had a plan. I mean, I was in Thailand, so I should have been like, yeah, maybe I'll like dedicate myself to Muay Thai or something, but sort of it wasn't as glamorous as I thought. I was like, oh, I'll just go surfing, I'll travel, but you know, when you spend so much of your life trying to like just do things and you're busy and you're pushing that, like when you go to doing almost nothing, you it changed your mind is like uh it's I don't even know how to really describe it. It's just like felt a little bit useless for a while. So I was welcomed to whenever I was asked to come back. I was like, yes. I told my wife, and my wife was like, yes, please go back. I think I might have been driving her a little bit crazy.
Yeah, dude. I had a similar experience, not to the same degree, but similar experience at the start of this year. So I quit. I used to work at Cointelegraph as a reporter, and then I quit, and I just did literally 2 months in Indonesia, just doing like a surf trip. And then, yeah, about a month in, I was kind of like, "Ooh, okay. Now what? Like, do I
Yeah.
just do this like continually for a bit? Like, fuck, I actually might need to do something." And then I literally got like passed along like an interesting new job and picked that up. But yeah, there was that immediate. It didn't. I thought, fuck yeah, I'm just gonna chill for like a couple months, do whatever. It's gonna be sick. And then within 30 days, I was like, ah, fuck, I'm only 28, man. I probably shouldn't be like lazing it up too much. I got shit I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, so I mean, if you're like a high agency person who likes to do things and like work, you know, you don't have to be just like all work, but when it's totally taken away, for certain people, like it sounds like you as well, and me, I was like, man, I need to do something. I was racking my brain, and then like this opportunity came up, so like I was pretty keen to take it pretty quickly.
Did you ever do much like trading, degening, or were you mostly dev side?
Um, So I got pretty big. I never really did the meme coin thing. I bought a couple here and there, but like I'm a really bad trader, which is why I pretty much for the most part just hold assets. Like most of my assets I hold for like years at a time because you know, every once in a while I'll have a couple dollars and I'll be like, I'll just buy this, but it's never, I keep, it's too high anxiety, it's too high stress, it's not the world for me. I'd rather, it's actually kind of harder to just sit on your hands too, but I don't have the time to stay. I feel like if you're doing meme coins and doing all that sort of stuff, you have to you have to spend a lot of time being aware of narrative shifts. So it just never made sense. I did do the 2021 NFT stuff. I was pretty big into that because it was so new. It felt so cool. It was like putting in a quarter like in a old toy machine and like it comes out of a gumball. It was like nostalgic to be able to do that until bots ruined it and there was no such thing as minting anymore because they just got sniped within 5 seconds. But while it lasted, it was incredible.
Well, that's literally how meme coins kind of felt. Like I got into meme coins and was just playing around with like literally pump.fun basically when it came out. Because Elon, when he first launched it, was literally just in people's DMs being like, "Hey man,
I I've seen the
have you
screenshots.
have you checked it out?" And then, like he must have hit thousands of people on crypto Twitter. So like that guy fucking crushed on
I
just
saw a lot.
networking from day one.
I saw a lot of people come and show those that they had saw that after Pump Fund became highly successful, making
Like,
hundreds of million
oh,
dollars a month. They were like, "Shit, he messaged me. I wish I would have answered that."
yeah. And I remember being like, "Oh yeah, fuck it, I'll check it out. I'll try anything once." And then was like, "Holy shit, this is interesting." But yeah, man, like that's a very similar trajectory to I feel like what happened with memes as well. Like you have the early stage kind of product. It feels really fun. It's also from a greed perspective, it's like a money machine because it's so inefficient. You can literally just, it requires no skill. You just show up on the platform, buy random stuff. Oh, wow, it's going up. I'm a genius. And then it becomes efficient because bots and tooling get in and
And the cabals come
millions of people
around,
are
and
like,
then Yeah, and then the cabals come around, and you're basically just a prey. You're just prey at that point. The predators have already sort of like found the platform, and then the prey is just like you think you're gonna make money, and you don't.
No, 100%. Zooming out a little bit, what do you see as like the big challenges today that Sol faces in the network? And how does it get past them?
It's like such a
Sorry,
random. No, 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 no.
fucking
It's
mega can of worms.
yeah. It's hard to even know where to start here. But like I will say,
Mm,
like living through 2021, 2022, and into 2023. The knock on wood, but the network is just like humming. It feels like Solana is the only blockchain out there that's really talking and focused on like technology and like IBRL. You don't, everybody else is sort of still chasing launchpad narratives and like following up on some of that stuff, prediction markets, whatever. Solana's still got these entrenched warriors trying to like get to 1 million sustained transactions per second. So I think in that place we're really good in terms of the network. Um, Probably, I think one of the biggest challenges for Solana to this day remains, even with all the big successes, it's not really the technical network. That's the thing. It's the narratives. They continue to come out. Like anything, something big happens on Solana, all those guys in the shadows that spend their entire lives just hating Solana come up and try to like just come up with reasons why like Solana will never succeed, even though we've succeeded infinitely better than most projects out there. So I don't think it's not a factor of technology. It's a factor of narrative at this point. And I think one of the most critical points of necessity for success, even though like the cypherpunks will hate it, is that institutions are here. If you are not part of that, you're going to have a really tough time in the cypherpunk world right now. It's like it's almost like you do it or you don't do it. It's your choice. But we've seen projects try to be cypherpunks and try to be like we're going to stick to our morals, and most of them are not here or not successful at this point. We can still build the future that we want, and but also still let those institutions get involved in it. I can't even believe I'm hearing myself say that, but it just is what it is right now. That's just where we are. I think if you ask Mert, probably one of the like it's on his mind right now heavily is um, private privacy and transactions. Like if you don't have this, the whole entire world. If your wallet gets connected to one thing that doxes your name, that person can now see everything that you've ever done on the blockchain. And it's a problem when it comes to it, like mainstream or institutional adoption. They don't want that. They don't want every single transaction, every single amount completely doxed to the entire world. So I think privacy is going to be the next frontier, you know, for Solana. But right now we're in a really good spot. We have all the degenerate stuff happening. The institutional stuff is happening. Like there's now a $1 billion fund led by Kyle Samani that are doing a digital asset treasury. So we're hitting every single angle for the most part. Now it's just I think it's all performance, like in terms of the network, it's like incremental performance uh, improvements, which like with Alpenglow coming and like the whole sort of mechanism changing, the promises are pretty large, and if they come through, we're in a really good spot.
Okay, run me through the next step in like Solana scaling. What's the next big update like on the calendar?
I mean, I think I'm not fully engulfed in that whole
Okay.
entire world anymore, but it sounds like the big one is, they've already increased the amount of like compute units, which allows for more transactions. That's already happened. They're in the process of, they're like pulling out, voting on chain. That was actually pretty a large bottleneck, I would say. And then I don't know the full scope of Alpenglow, but like they're basically everything that Tolly ever did with Solana is slowly but meticulously and surgically being removed by people that he would agree are probably much smarter than he is.
Okay. Okay.
Seriously, no, they did like the design of it got us to where we are now, but like you know, Anza has pulled in. It was harder to pull them in, but like now some of these low-level engineering, like distributed system guys who probably were skeptical of crypto are now realizing, oh, I don't really have to care as much about crypto. I can just go work on the fastest distributed decentralized network in the world, and they're picking off these incredible pieces of talent that are just hyper focused on scaling Solana. And I mean, it's something nobody's ever done in this way in a decentralized fashion in history. So it's all huge.
Yeah, no, it's massive, and like I think it ties back into kind of what ETH stumbled into with like L2 scaling, because there was a point there where it was denying the fact that L2s had liquidity fragmentation problems. It was being like, oh no, we're just getting more compute and just surface area of transactions on ETH. The L2s are ETH, and now it's kind of like, oh, actually, um, sorry about that. It's the L2s are not technically ETH. So, and this has fallen out of style, I think, a bit now. But there was a really long time where Base was very much like positioning itself as the competitor to Solana, and very much like trying to catch up on meme coins when they happen, and then catch up on like whatever was trending on Solana. Base was like just closely behind it. How do you feel about Base today? I feel like it's kind of sectioned off more into its own lane a bit more, but I know that you've got some fun takes on Base.
Yeah, I
Keen to
mean,
hear your
like,
thoughts.
yeah, I mean, like, I feel like to an extent, like, people can agree or disagree that there was some sabotaging, that at least it felt that way going on. You know, they were showing Solana as like transactions in there, and maybe it was technical, but like they could have, they're one of the highest powered engineering teams in the space, but it was like saying 60 minutes to process a Solana transaction, like next to like Ethereum 12 second, just base like 3 seconds or whatever. So it felt a little bit dirty, whether or not it was. They've, to their credit, it's greatly improved. They have somebody specifically focused on that part of the stack for Solana now. So I will say, I mean, I think everybody was a little, anytime a new big name enters the arena, you're going to be a little bit concerned. But I think whenever I look, like even Sui is an incredible, like, I think Sui's great. I saw them as a pretty heavy competitor from the day they came out. But if you like look at like the L2s, some of them have been doing all right. Base seems to be doing better than most, and they also just have the distribution. But I don't think any blockchain, L2 or otherwise, actually is capturing every single area of like, you know, the institutional stuff, the meme coin stuff, like the RWA stuff. We are just at the top of every single list, whether we're first, second, or third, it doesn't really matter. But I don't think anybody is in our world. And then we also, we have Super Team, which is just these globally decentralized groups that everybody's tried to replicate, including Base, and nobody's succeeded. We have built a machine over the last 4 or 5 years that nobody can seem to really figure out how to touch. The L2 stuff, I think it's been, like Arbitrum and Optimism have done all right. Base is definitely way up there at the top. But as you start to see all these institutions now launching their own L1s when everybody thought they were going to be Ethereum L2s, well, sorry, buddy, but like that's just not what is going to happen. Because everybody realizes you want the real performance and not being sort of just a centralized server, you're going to build something that's not an L2.
Yeah. And yeah, that comes back to your kind of thing on if you stick to your cypherpunk visions in the modern world, it's just like recognize that these corpos are going to do their own corpo chains. Like they're not going to, like even Robinhood being like, oh yeah, we're using Arbitrum. It's like for now they're gonna spin up Robinhood chain and that will be theirs and they can control that and roll it
Is that an
out
L2?
one.
Is that an L2 or is that just like a, I don't even really know. I knew that
They
they'd
have
used Arbitrum, but I wasn't sure if it was an L2 or just like a full-blown L1. I'm not really certain what that looks like.
yeah. This is where we enter the bro blockchain science part of it. I probably should know, but I'm pretty sure that they will be spinning up their own network. Maybe it's a layer two on ETH, but I imagine they just want their own like base layer composability, so they can be like, like
Yeah.
it isn't as expensive as it once was to launch an entire blockchain if you want. Like you could do it, especially when you have Robinhood money. Um,
Yeah.
and you want that ego, and you want to have that level of like non-dependency on other shit, you can just run your own. Yeah. Um,
I'm a proud Robinhood maxi, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe just because
Okay.
I own this. That's because I own the stock. But I actually bought the stock because I was like, these guys move so fast compared to traditional like financial institutions that they are. I don't know. I think Vlad is awesome, and I think that like Robinhood is light years ahead of the rest of these guys. I'm surprised they haven't launched a stablecoin yet. Maybe they did. Maybe I missed it, but I'm surprised if they haven't.
True. What's your take on the whole like Robinhood v Coinbase kind of developments?
I don't know. I think they I didn't see any developments, but I mean I think that they are just they're focused on they probably have some crossover, but their user bases are quite different. I think Coinbase is getting a lot of the people who already know crypto, and Robinhood, if you ever used Robinhood for stocks, which I don't use it regularly, but the experience and the confetti when you buy a stock, this is perfect normie bait, dude. Like it's so easy. So that's what I was like, wow, this is amazing. These guys know how to get normies investing in stocks. They're going to do the same for crypto. So like that's my take. And I don't think Coinbase is anywhere near that level of sort of like normification.
Yeah, no, I'm an Australian, so I don't get Robinhood. It's just like it's not a service here, but from what I've seen, yeah, Robinhood has the very much just wide net normie gamification. Um, I think people, you could take a negative kind of approach to that as well of like it's financial instruments, but hey, we're making investing fun, and like that's kind of the main fucking element that I think apps should
The
be
whole world's a
interested in.
casino. The whole world's a casino, man. So people just need to get on board.
I do agree. And maybe this is like I don't mean to frame it like it's a competition because I think you can be bullish on Ethereum and Solana together. But do you think that Solana eventually flips ETH? Is that on the
And
cards?
in terms of market cap, I think we've
Yeah.
like here's my take. We've already flipped Ethereum in every single metric except TVL and market cap. Every single thing, Solana does it all better, in my opinion. I mean, like, and it's not just an opinion. Like, you just like look at RWAs, look at speed, look at usage, look at all these different components, and Solana is already winning. The market cap, people glorify it, but at the end of the day, a lot of that market cap is just static capital that just sits there because a lot of people just hold a ton of it. And Solana's goal is not to have the highest market cap in term. I mean, like I don't speak for everybody, but the goal is not to have the biggest market cap. The goal is to have everybody using the Solana network, one single global state machine to rule them all. And I think that's more important. You'll never get everybody to agree on that because market cap historically has always been high market cap good coin. If you looked at the top 10 and you ranked and rated them in a different way that wasn't market cap, I think Solana would. I mean, I'm a Bitcoin maxi as well, so I would say it's like Bitcoin and Solana. That's just it for me. I don't think anybody like really even comes close, to be honest. One of them is the greatest store of value ever made, and the other one is the fastest decentralized global network that's ever been designed. And I don't know, ETH has tried to be many things over the year, and I think they're still in somewhat of an identity crisis.
Okay. Yeah, the Bitcoin Sol barbell. It's a pretty good play. You would have done very, very well if you just held Bitcoin and Sol for the last 3 years.
Sadly, I didn't really hold as much Bitcoin as I wished I had, but I have Bitcoin. I don't have as much. I mean, we all say that. I should have bought more whenever, because I was around whenever, after the 2018 drop from 20,000 down to what did it go down to, like 2 or 3,000? God damn, I wish I would have bought some more Bitcoin at that point.
Yeah, it is. I think it's the curse of crypto natives is everyone's trying to chase. They think that because they're so close to tech and all the new stuff, they're going to be on the next wave of the next big thing. And then everyone eventually kind of phases into like, fuck, I should have just been buying BTC. Like I should have, yeah, especially if you're not like an elite level trader, chances are just probably hold a fuckload of Bitcoin and check out and do your work in the industry. And that
Sound advice, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, that's the unifying kind of theme for a lot of, I think, degens. Yeah, because it is a winner take all kind of game once you start moving out along the risk curve, and it's yeah. But yeah, man, dude, this has been fucking sick. Was there anything else you wanted to chuck in there, add on at the end? Things we didn't cover, shit you want to get off your chest?
No, I mean, like, honestly, I'm pretty happy right now. I'm happy with Solana Network. I'm happy with the way that everything's going. I'm happy, like, with the phone. But, like, the only thing I would say is, like, if you haven't, buy a Seeker. And if you're a builder, consider this, that the majority of crypto apps have 150,000 Seeker devices have been sold. Most crypto apps, I'd say less than 5% have 150,000 users. So honestly, if you want distribution and you want to front run everybody in the Solana ecosystem and get access to people who actually, you're not just, you know, you're not just wasting your efforts on people who may or may not use crypto. You're basically putting your application in front of 150,000 Solana power users, people who use crypto on a regular basis. So if you're new and you want to get your first 1,000, 5,000 users, that's the way to do it. You're basically competing against only the dApps in that dApp store. But if you're launching anywhere else, you're competing against everybody on Twitter, every blockchain, every competitive product that's similar to yours in the entire space. The Solana Mobile Seeker gives you the chance to compete in a less sort of competitive market because whatever you're building may only have one or two competitors within that app. So everybody who uses that phone will have an easier chance to discover you than outside of, battling in the cryptosphere.
Oh yeah, dude, great pitch. And where can people find you on socials slash just the internet more broadly? And is there anything like super short term that you want people to go check out once they've finished listening to this pod?
So I mean, like, you can find me, the real Chase EB, on Twitter. That's usually where you'll find me most of the time. I'm terminally online. In the near term, I'm actually going to be going to Korea Blockchain Week. There's a super team Solana Startup Village there. Actually, even earlier than that, I think I'm going to Singapore for the same thing, plus Solana Apex. I think you'd mentioned Token 2049 when we weren't on the call yet. I don't know if I'll be going to that, but I'll be in Singapore roughly around that time. So lots of big stuff happening. And then again, breakpoints happening in December. So hope to see everybody there.
Dope, dude. Thanks so much for your time today, man. This has been great. And thanks for coming on the show.
All right, cool, man. Thanks, Tom. Cheers.